Hello, everyone, and welcome to MATHURDAYS. Math's so fun. We do it on Saturdays. Glad to have you all here. And if you would just throw in the chat box where you're coming from, and if you are on social media, how we should follow you, because making a network of educators is really, really helpful right now. So welcome and say hi in the chat box.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello,
Oh, video
welcome.
preview. Oh, that was a good video. Got a camera there. Share my video. Okay. All right. Let's open this. Okay.
And I've posted the link to the Google Slides in the chat box. If you are new to MATHURDAYS, welcome. And we work primarily on the Google Slides, so you have that link there. It should have also come in your invite. And today we've got a routine called Would You Rather and a rich task from Smith and Stein's 5 Practices book for too much dog food. So let's jump right on in. Glad to see those of you saying hello in the chat box. It's always nice to see who's here. A couple
Okay.
things on slide 2, you will notice that there are links to more templates and links to other sessions that we've done in MATHURDAYS. Each MATHURDAYS is pretty similar in that there is a new math routine and a rich task. I try as much as possible to model things off of face-to-face instruction, so things that work well for you, and talk about the little differences that make them work online. So, on slides 3, 4, or 5, if you would share with us, what are your successes and celebrations right now? What's going on? And you can do that through a text box. I'll kind of make a little arrow about what the text box looks like. It's a little T with a box around it. And you're also welcome to, add images, animated GIFs, and more. And let's just see who's what everyone is up to. And I'll start off here. Someone's got a picture of it looks like a tree with lights on it, but I don't think it's made out of like wood and branches. What's that made out of? Who's that? Good morning, and how's it going? And if you do get your microphone working, if that's you, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi there.
Hi. So what is this tree?
I'm not sure. What is this tree?
Oh, no worries, no worries. Welcome. And if you are just joining us, I'm going to put a link in the chat box, and that is to our slides so that you can edit right there on there. Oh, Anastasia. Okay, yeah, no worries. No worries. Come and join us. I see someone, Raha. What are you going to be doing over break?
Hi, Teresa. So I literally slept for 12 hours last night, and my body did wake up around like 6 because it's time for, work, but I forced myself to go back to sleep. I just want to sleep, and hopefully my body and mind is relaxed so we can go back in January and have a great rest of the year. So I'm excited.
I'm so glad you took the time to take care of yourself. I'm right in there in the same boat. I slept for a lot last night. Awesome. Who did Mysteries on slide 5? There's a cool little image here. I'd love to know, how did it go with your students?
Hi, it's Joanne. So I did that. So I had seen you had shared a template, so I just modified it a little bit so that my students could just know exactly where they needed to be and have that running record. And it went great. They really like that. Just working to create the estimate and then the clues to help narrow it down. So this was a challenging one, understanding multiples, but it went well.
Wonderful. And tell us a little bit about that running log. How did you implement that in your class?
So I would show the the image, and then in the first box they would put their estimate, and then asking them to share what they came up with their estimate. And then each time I showed a new image, they would then put in their next estimate. We had used the chat before, but then we never saw that running record. So this allowed us to keep track of where they were at and then explain and know who to share their thinking.
Wonderful. Joanne, I'm going to make it a little larger on slide 5 if other people want to see it. I can see very clearly how that running record is working for each student, and that's such valuable information for me as the teacher. Thanks so much for sharing. And somebody said, I did this with them this week also, and the students loved it. Who's that? Who else did ESTA Mysteries?
That was me, Melissa, and I work with some older students. So I work with 9th graders who are still doing some pre-algebra stuff. And we're all virtual right now. We've been doing hybrid with some in the classroom and some online. And now that we're all virtual, I have 100% participation, and they love doing this kind of stuff just to get everything started for the day.
Oh, Melissa, what a wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I love all the way that people have interacted with images, with GIFs, with things from their classroom. How wonderful. All right, folks, let's jump right into our math today. On slide 6, we have the routine. It's called Would You Rather Math. There's a website for it. And get this, folks, you don't have to recreate stuff. There are hundreds and hundreds of already created images for you. So what I did is I went in here. I know today I'm working on a lesson about fractions, ratios, and proportions, and I wanted one where students are, exploring some of those things. So I clicked the website, went to it, and grabbed one. So this comes straight from the Would You Rather Math. And our Would You Rather on slide 7 is all about gaining revenue from an amusement park. Would you rather gain the revenue from the Ferris wheel, which costs 4 tickets to ride, or the carousel, which costs 3 tickets to ride? You're going to put your response on either slide 8 or 9. If you choose the Ferris wheel, you'll write in the green box for that side, and you'll give a reason why. If you choose the carousel, you'll write on the orange side and give a reason. You're welcome to resize your text box and font as needed. If you read somebody else's response and you make a connection to that, feel free to change their font to bold. And again, you're welcome to resize your font and text box. The nice thing is these text boxes can even go off the side, which I'm going to do with one of them over here, so you can make it longer and people can read more on it. I often find too that when I make a large space or a large text box for students, there's this kind of unspoken message to fill the box, and when they're smaller, there's this unspoken message to write a very summarized, short and sweet comment. It doesn't always apply, but often it does, and so that's one of the reasons why I'll change the size of the text boxes. Great. All right, folks. So what I've done is I've read through a couple of these, and there's some that I want to talk in the whole class about. And so I've pasted them one at a time, beginning on slide 10. Um, so on slide 10, we have Anastasia wrote that 4 tickets are bigger than 3. And so I'd like us to just consider real quick, 4 tickets are bigger than 3. How many tickets do you think you could gain on the Ferris wheel? Think about a number. I'm asking a very vague question on purpose. How many tickets do you think you could get all together on the Ferris wheel? We're going to type them in the chat box, but don't hit enter yet. We're going to do a chat waterfall, which means we hit enter at the same time. So heading back over to the teleconferencing tool, type your answer. How many tickets do you think you would get for the Ferris wheel? And we'll hit enter in 3, 2, 1, now. And people use words to describe kind of what they were talking about. Lisa, would you tell us, you said 48 for one ride. How did you get that number?
I looked at the Ferris wheel and I thought it looked like there were 12 cars. Oh, I didn't even think about this. And I thought if one person were riding every time they ran the Ferris wheel, that would be 48 tickets. But I think I should double that to 96.
Neat. Why are you thinking of doubling it? What just happened?
I think you probably have most of the Ferris wheel cars have 2 people on each car.
Neat. But the carousels, I think in most situations, they just have one. You all can definitely tell me if there's instances where I'm incorrect here. Neat. So we're are already getting this idea of multiplication across. That's one of the things I definitely wanted to get to. Join me on slide 11. Let's dig a little deeper. If this was yours, would you tell us what you were thinking? It says, looks like the number of riders for each is about the same. If the time of the ride is the same, I'd rather have the 4 tickets. Whose is that? And what brought this on? What made you think about this?
So this is Gail. I was looking at the Ferris wheel and it looked about 24 riders at a time because we're 12 buckets and 2 people in a bucket. And it looked like the carousel maybe had about the same number that could ride at a time. And then I thought, well, it would depend on the length of the time each ride goes as far as how many you could do in a given amount of time.
Neat. And Gail, when I was a kid, I used to always think about the length of the time I was on a ride and whether or not it was worth the number of tickets. And so I knew that, like Ferris wheels, for example, I could be on that thing for a while, but a roller coaster is usually less than 2 minutes. So yeah, there's some other neat things to think about there. If any of these two made you flip your decision, you used to think orange, now you're thinking green, go ahead and let us know with an emoji in the chat box. Any emoji that best makes you think about the flip that you made. If you flipped from green to orange, same thing. And on slide 12, we have somebody said more people can ride at a time and on off easier. Whose is this? And what experience do you have about the on and off easier thing?
So that one's mine. And I just know that it feels like when you're waiting in the line for a Ferris wheel, it takes forever. And the on off, they have to get the cart right in the right position. And then they have to kind of open the gate and then two people go on. But when the carousel opens, I feel like all the parents and kids kind of flood in, and the checking of the safety just seems easier. So I feel like parents are standing and kids are mounted, and it seems like it just goes faster with the on off.
Ah, and so why does the on-off make a difference in terms of revenue for you? I mean, it seems nice for the parents and the kids, but or the people waiting in line. How does it relate to revenue?
I think they usually charge the parents too. Maybe not. I can't remember, but I think it's definitely just moves the line faster so that more people will get on and use their tickets more quickly. And then they might also run around and do it again.
Ah, so they might run back around, do it again. You're getting a lot of tickets in. If you have flipped, you used to be a Ferris wheel, now you're a carousel or back and forth. Let me know with emojis there in the chat. I think we got one flip. Glenn, is there something that somebody said that stood out to you that made you really want to flip your mind?
There we go. It was the 2 riders per car, and it looks like if you have one Ferris wheel, you've got about 24 riders. I would imagine there might be 24 horses on the carousel, but now I'm thinking that every 2 minutes the entire carousel changes riders, whereas the Ferris wheel, you're on that wheel and they're changing cars. So I'm wondering what the turnover is. You'd have to use a longer period of time. You follow me? You'd have to find like riders per hour.
Mm. All right, folks. So we have primed us thinking about mathematics here. We're not only thinking about multiplication or the speed of things or the rate of things, but we're thinking about real world context. And that's what I love about Would You Rathers, and it gets us primed for more thinking. On slide 13, if you are curious about the protocols that I use today, again, I do this very similarly in a face-to-face class, but some explicit things is I want every single student to put either on the green side or the orange side their thoughts. I don't want to hear just from 3 students. I want to hear from every single student. And I want them to be able to kind of read other people's and agree with those also with bold. I asked some of you all to share it by moving the ones that I wanted to talk to because they related to the mathematics goal of our lesson. And then I'm always using emojis in the chat box for flipping or rephrasing other people's thinking. So those are some of the protocols that I use today. We're going to jump into our rich task now. On slide 15, I have the why on earth do we bother with rich tasks? Why would we spend 40 minutes of a class period on just one problem? This is the 8 math teaching practices that comes out of the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. And you will see all 8 of these front and center today. It's not like we just see 1 or 2 or kind of glimpse on one of them. They are big and bold and out front, and that's why I love rich tasks. Slide 16 is the problem-solving oath. As I read it out loud, read it to yourself, and if you want to take this pledge today, go ahead and put your name in the chat box. I, Teresa, promise to try my best. I will make sense of patterns and numbers. I will use manipulatives and drawings. I will make mistakes. I will ask questions. I will listen to other ideas. I will try to stay engaged by always trying to find another solution or representation. I am a problem solver. I make the world a better place. It's great to see so many problem solvers there in the chat. All right, let's check out our task. This comes from Smith & Stein's 5 Practices book. It's a great little task about Max's dog food. And it says that dog food is sold in a 12.5-pound bag. My dog Max eats 3/4 of a pound of dog food every day. How many servings of dog food are in the bag? That's your task. I've selected 5 virtual manipulatives that I personally think are really good for solving this. but you're not limited to these. If you have other manipulatives that you want to try or you want to use the tools within Google, feel free. But those options are on slide 18. And then I'm going to place you in breakout rooms, and you will have the slides 19 and below to put your solutions on. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pop you in your breakout rooms now. You will turn on your mics and say hello to your new group members. And our breakout rooms are starting now. Hello there, Group 4. Just checking in with you, letting you know that you're Group 4 and you're going to be working on slide 22.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I don't think that's for us. I think that's a different one.
That's from last week.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
You're right.
yes.
Hi, group. Yes, you caught it. I love Google Slides because you can change them instantly. Yeah, so just making sure you all knew that you were group number 3, but it looks like you know, and you've already got it on there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's
It's 12 and 2/4.
so that's 13. Let me see, 2. That's 25. That's 25 halves. Okay, which would be 50 fourths. All right, and then we maybe just divide 50 by 3. Am I missing something here? There's 1. That's 3. That's 2. 26. About 16, maybe.
Hi there, group. Glenn, I noticed you're looking down. I assume you're doing some paper pencil. Would you mind showing to the camera kind of what you were doing, what you were thinking, so we can see the work that was going on in your mind?
Yeah, can you guys see this? Can you see me?
Are those? Oh yeah, hold it still for just a second. Awesome. All right. So what I did, and Glenn, you're more than welcome to do a better image of that, is I just took a screenshot of it and popped it up on your slide so that people could kind of see what it is that you were doing there.
Oh, got it. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, good. The I have I've got a stylus and a pad thing that I usually use in class that I could write on with this.
Yeah, we frequently have people even take pictures of their TI-83 graphing calculator, like just really basic, not anything super fancy, but just taking pictures of their paper pencil work or their calculators and more. So however you like, but when we do get to see a visual of it there, it's so nice for us to be able to kind of talk about and to interact with. So keep it up, guys. You're doing great.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see the other stuff. I can probably ask one of my kids. My kids are here. I'll probably ask one of them to help me.
Okay, I'm not familiar. Teresa's back in the room. She might be able to help you too.
How's it going?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I am good.
I'm really new at this, and I'm not really up on all the technology. I've done Zoom and everything, but this is confusing to me, and I'm having trouble finding how to go back to what I need to do, like the slides and stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting us know. Let me put the link into the chat box. We have such a mix of people that join us. Some, this is their very first time. Others have been, to 20 of them. And so definitely, I hope you feel welcome. And if you click on that link, it will bring you to our slideshow. And your group is working on slide 22.
I was on it before. I was on that link before. When I click on it, how do I go back to what the screen I'm on? That's what I was having trouble with,
Oh,
finding
so
my way back.
you'll have two tabs or two windows open while you're doing this. Much like you might have your Gmail open and the slides open, or your gradebook open and something else, and toggling back between them, you might have two windows open or two tabs open.
Okay, so yeah, I tried that. Okay, let me try again. I'm going to do that. Okay. So I clicked on that, and when I move that around on my screen, I can't get back to, I don't see the screen for the other thing. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
I can hear you just fine. So if you want to just click on the Google Doc, we'll be able to hear you. And when we come back together, I'll make sure that you're able to see the slides. I can project it out. And so you won't even need to
Okay.
be using the teleconferencing tool. Your mic is on, people can hear you.
Okay, that's good. And my teleconferencing tool says BB Collab at the top. Is that right?
Yep, indeed, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. This is my first time using that. I've done Zoom, but I've not done this, and I'm kind of behind with the technology, which is why I wanted to join this and learn. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do hope you feel welcome. I kind of throw technology at people, but I'm also very happy to come back in here, chat with you more, make sure you're feeling comfortable with it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm very, like, I couldn't remember when you multiply, when you divide, and so I needed to see stuff like visually and literally.
Yeah.
So for me, something like this would help.
This is a thing of beauty. This this would really be awesome, because I see each of your little green bars is 3/4 long.
Yeah, that's how I can go back. I can show you what I did.
Yeah.
I went here and I changed it to fractions into fourths, and then it said, where do you want to start? And I said 0. And then, oh no, how do I get out of done?
That's all right. That's okay. Done.
And then these jumps, I chose the jump, and you can move it. So I moved it, well, not
Beautiful.
just move, I can size it too somehow. So I
Yep.
sized it to 3/4. And then there's a duplicate button. This thing here will duplicate.
Beautiful.
And then I just kept doing it until I got to, I forgot what the number was.
It's like a 54th.
Oh no, actually this isn't whole numbers.
Oh, got it.
So what was the thing we had to get? Was it 12 and 3/4? No.
Yeah. It's 12 and a
3 pounds. 6 pounds. 9 pounds.
Hi, group. Wait to use the duplicate feature. That is so visually appealing. I can almost see your thinking happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to do the fraction part on the other website, and for some reason I couldn't have more than one color per rod. So that made me feel frustrated, because I wanted to show like I needed 3 pounds to make 3 pounds to show 3 servings. That's because of the multiples of 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I duplicated here. Sorry.
This is great.
So I have 12 pounds and I need half a pound. I don't think that'll be enough. I think that'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, no, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 servings. So something like this, I think.
These would you need? So if we have this one, let's see. Okay, so here we have the 3/4. So we took this great model. Then I have this other one. So this would be for, what is it? 1, 2, 3 pounds. Would that be 4 servings? Would that be right?
I thought the answer was 16 2/3, but I'm not sure how you would show it with stamping out the manipulatives. I just did it on paper.
So it would be 16 2/3 servings.
Yeah, I think there's 16 2/3 servings for the dog in that big bag.
Well, if you do you know, okay, so if you see like where it says text box here, if you create a text box, you can just go ahead and type in your thinking there too. That would be a great way to get started.
Okay, type it in where? Where do I type it? Oh, where it says click to add speaker notes at the bottom.
Hi there,
You could do it there, or see at the top where there's that T that's in a box. You can create a text box and type that and put that on the screen. Yeah, so she put a box on for you, and then you can just click right in there and type it on that.
Where's the divided by sign?
So then based on that image that you made, let's see, I'm just trying to think. So this would be, if I'm understanding it right, 3 pounds. And then here's 1, 2, 3, and then would that be 4 servings? Let's see. Okay, so count how many 3/4 pieces go into the 12.5. I couldn't change. Okay. Right, and I was thinking, so that was your 1. And I don't know why when I tried to copy it, that didn't work.
So I typed something in the box. Can you see it, or do I have to hit like send or something?
Nope. So it looks like you typed in 12.5 divided by 3/4 equals 16 2/3.
Better because I started to do it up here in the left-hand corner. I started to do this up here, the upper right-hand corner with the blue, with the purple 4. But you did it. I like how, yes, yeah, because you're showing like that one. Yes, I like that.
That's what I was trying to do with those fraction pieces, and I couldn't get it to work. That's cool.
That's why I started putting it up. Yep, I did it. Yep.
So there's the number line through 6.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
So I know that by that, I've got 12 days to double it.
Yes.
So I'm going to take that 8 times 2. John, please tell me if I'm figuring this right.
16 with 2/3 of a serving left. Yeah, that's it. So just put a little note over there about doubling your number line.
Hey there, group. I just heard 2/3 of a serving left, and I'm not really sure where I see that in the other fractions. I see 1/2 and 3/4. Where did you get 2/3 from?
We were just talking about Colette's number line. So we double that to 6. I mean, the 6 to 12, and then double her 8 to 16. So we've got a 1/2 pound left, a 1/2 pound of dog food. It takes 2/3. So I'm thinking those little sections. If we go back to the very first, I'm just doing this mentally. It's like
Yeah, you're doing it beautifully. Keep going.
2 out of 3 pieces left is how I think. I don't see it anywhere in our pictures that I could, except maybe if we went to the fraction number line, I could say like 1/4, 2/4. So there's 2 out of 3 pieces that gets us to a 1/2 pound. I could see it like at the first part of the number line.
Because of your explanation, I can see it now. And it was one of the words you used. You said 2 pieces out of the 3 that you need. And even though dog food is like a whole bunch of little tiny pieces, I was almost like imagining this like bacon strip. It's like a nice long strip, and I only have like 2 of the thirds that I need to be like a whole entire treat for the dog.
Well, and if you think about if you're using your measuring cup when you dump the dog food and you use a 4th cup, then you have 2 of those, 2 of the 4th cups left, and you need that 1 more 4th of a cup.
Oh, clearly, yes.
I love how you stated that, Lisa. That's awesome.
Now I can't remember what I said.
I wonder if
So one alphabet equals 2 fourths.
I have
So
to.
2 out of 3 or 2/3 of a serving left over. I understand it completely. You totally made it very visual. I
mean,
love it.
this is so much.
All right, if you are listening to me here, you are probably listening to the session in the recording mode. I am frantically working here to figure out what our conversation is going to be about. I really want to bring up the 2/3 because a common misconception is that it's 1/2 left over and not 2/3 left over. And I want to see how different people play around with that idea. So I'm looking at some of the pieces that I gathered. And I'm going to go quiet here for a minute while I start to think about how I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to hide this one first because I want them to understand the number line and then move into the number line as it extends down. And also I'm going to hide this one because I want them to understand the previous before they see this. This group had talked about duplicating, and I really want to bring that up because the other group also talks about doubling the double. So this idea of duplicating, that might be important, but here's the meat of it all right here. It's what do we do with this extra little 2? I'm going to make some different pieces. First, we'll make this the orange one so people know what we're talking about. The yellow, the red, and then this was an explanation that will make the purple model. And we'll just make sure that all of these can clearly be seen. All right, I have 2 minutes left. I could go through and ask any other questions. Oh, nice, we've got a table. This is what I wanted to see. I like to send these little reminders out to people. And I do that by just putting it directly on their slide. All right, let's pull them back.
between
Welcome back,
equivalent.
everyone, to the main room. Hello there. We're all back together. Nice work. Can you believe you've been working on that for 20 minutes already? All right, folks, I'd love us to just take a quick moment and look at all the representations that we have from slide 19 to 23. And granted, while I realize that we are a bunch of educators who might be more interested in showing our thinking with virtual manipulatives, it is really neat to see the diversity of ideas that can appear on a couple of slides within 20 minutes. And it's just really exciting to see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am on slide 24, and what I'm going to do is the last part of the 5 practices. So if you're unfamiliar with it, this work coming out of Smith and Stein, first I anticipated this problem. I not only anticipated many different ways that people might solve it, but misconceptions and also the virtual manipulatives that you might choose to use. I monitored, you'd heard me popping in and out of your rooms. And as I'm monitoring and listening to you, I'm also selecting key pieces of work to discuss, and then I sequence them on the slides below. And now we're going to move through the connections phase where you all are going to be the authors of this discussion. And we'll start off on slide 25. Group 3 started doing this a multicolored piece, and I'd love for you to just be able to explain to us what it is and how you used it to solve the problem.
Hi, Teresa. It's Raha. So in our group, we were trying to really push ourselves to use the manipulatives. And one of the things I wanted to try out was fraction bars. But on the website, I wasn't able to choose 2 colors for one fraction bar. So my thinking was that if a whole is 4/4, the serving size is 3/4. So I wanted to show that 3/4 in a 4/4 situation. And so I kept going until I had the holes completely covered up. So the red is the 3/4 of the last serving, and it helped me see that that's the serving per 3 pounds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm going to put a little arrow here also. I think that that helps me because now we're in the whole number realm, and I work so much more efficiently with whole numbers. So I'm curious.
I knew there was a connection between 4 and 2 as the denominator, but I knew it wouldn't be enough, basically. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I definitely always want you all to interrupt me. You're the authors of this. Just to engage everyone else real quick. Raha made several copies of this. I have them covered up right now. In the chat box, would you go ahead and type how many copies of this little colorful thing do you think Raha made? Ah, this idea of 4, maybe 5. Lisa, you were one of the folks who said 4, maybe 5. It looks like she made 4. Why might we also think that she could have made 5?
If she wanted to show the leftover portions, the extra 2 or the extra 2/4 cup, she might have done a fifth copy and showed those 2 that were left over, and then maybe several blank sections for the remainders.
Neat. So we can show either, nice, beautiful whole numbers. We can show the leftovers. You all are on the exact right track. So that's one of the ways that we can use it using this area model. And on slide 26, if we come down here, we have now a number line model. And I love the way that this group kind of used notation for days. And, in this one here, we have something very similar to Raha's model. And so I want everyone to have a chance to try and identify what is similar between this and Raha's model. Whoops, I didn't get all of it. Let me try one more time. There we go. If you see the way that these two are the same, go ahead and write it in the chat box. If you see a way that they are different, go ahead and add that in the chat box. How is this number line model and the area model the same or different? Melody, you mentioned that they both model 4 days. Why do you think that they are so focused on this 4-dayness? What's so special about 4 days?
Well, that's a good, maybe because it can be duplicated several times. Like you were talking before, like you can just copy and paste it for four to get 4 to see the whole number, and then 5th for the extras.
Yeah, that duplicating is such a powerful thing. And on slide 27, we see a lot of duplicating. So I'm going to give us just a minute to kind of breathe in all that is happening on slide 27, and then we'll talk more about this duplicating. So I'll give you a minute to read that. So there's a lot going on here in terms of duplicating, and I want to start us off with the orange, the orange model. I've put an orange outline around it. And if this was yours, could you tell us what you were thinking and if it relates to any of the other ones that we had looked at previously?
So that was mine. And so Anastasia and our team built this model. And so from that, I was able to like see that the 3 pounds equal 4 servings, which then relates to the other 2 models that we could see that in that color coding. So that the 1 pound, and then just keep duplicating that. So this is kind of like this 3 pounds is 4 servings is the same as that one section that you first showed of the colored, and then that bar line of the number line.
So again, we've got this idea of this 3 and 4 being the magical place. Another group was starting to kind of duplicate because of the powers of the technology. So they're finding these 3/4 and literally just seeing like, hey, how many does it take? Let's keep making more and more and more. And then yet another group has this really neat way of thinking about it. To be completely transparent about the 5 practices, I love, love, love this thinking that's happening here at the very top where they are duplicating it many times. However, it's not leading us in the direction that I want to go with the discussion about the remainder. So this is something I might bring up on day 2 or kind of save this little nugget for later on. I think there's some really neat stuff happening there, but those are some of the decisions we have to make as an instructor to make sure that our conversation stays together and kind of doesn't go off in 20 different directions. So I wanted to be explicit there. What we're going to talk about is the leftover kibble, the leftover dog food, and that's on slide 28. So slide 28 came from many of your slides, and we're going to look at what the leftover looks like. If you are the creator of the orange model, will you tell us what does your leftover dog food look like?
Hi, so when I created this, I first broke down how much, each part, like 5 days, and then water that remained from there, a part of it, would make another day. So the leftover would remain 2, the half pound that was there.
Nice. The leftover, I love that you just said that. Um, 2 is the half pound. That was very nice word choice there. I'm going to keep that. Wonderful. So we've got that 2. And how about if you were the creator of the yellow model, where do you see your leftover at? Or maybe if you were in the group with the yellow model. So in this yellow model, we have lots of 3s, we have lots of 4s, many more 4s, and a 2. If you were the creator of this or in that group, can you tell us kind of what your thinking was in making this? Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. I'm always patient with microphones not working. We have Gail's writing in the chat box there. The purple was the pound. Um, and Laura, can you tell us what do you see the connection with Roanna's model?
Hi, Teresa. So I can see that the yellow model, even though they represented the way that they kind of broke down the servings, they still have that half pound left. And it's similar to how Rana like demonstrated that there was like that 2 is that half pound that wouldn't fit into another serving.
Neat. So I've heard now twice this idea of half pound, but I'm looking at a number 2, and that's very fascinating. Let's take a quick look at the red model. If this was yours, what are you trying to showcase here in this final jump?
So I was trying to sort of mark off where the last full serving was. So that's that first red line. And then, I kept the skip jumping at the same 3/4 interval. So I knew that the bag ended at 12 and a half, which is 12 and 2/4 pounds. And so I marked off that. And then I was able to see that it's a half pound of food, but it's 2/3 of a serving because it's only taking up 2 of those bars, right? How would I say this? 2/4 when a 3/4 is the full serving.
So I heard this statement that I'd love to get down real quick. It's a half pound of food, but 2 of the 3. That's really interesting. We're going to come back and look at that one. In the purple model, someone here had said something, and I tried to script it down as you were saying it. You were talking about actually using a measuring cup. If that was yours, would you describe to us what you're talking about with the measuring cup and maybe how it relates to either the orange, yellow, or red image?
Okay, this is Lisa, and I thought about using a 1/4 pound or 1/4 of a cup, and if you were digging into that bottom, you'd dig out those 2 1/4 cups, and you'd be out of food, and you would need 1 more 1/4 cup, so you have 2 out of 3. So that's where our 2/3 of a serving comes in. And we see the same thing with, I think I'm looking at the number line where she shows the bar, and we see 2 sections out of 3 are in that final serving where we're missing. We have those 2 that you're showing, And we're missing that last little piece to the right.
And you know what, Lisa, that really connected for me. I'm going to actually look up a measuring cup, because this is kind of how I first taught my kiddos to feed our dog, is through the idea of a measuring cup. So now, you know, I don't have a 3/4 measuring cup. If I was going to do 3/4, I would use some kind of combination, but I can clearly see there's one of them there. There's another, and there is another. So it would be 3/4, or like 3 of these little quarter cups, and I only have 2 left. But a question that constantly comes up with this problem is the leftover 1/2, or is it 1/3? Or excuse me, or is it 2/3? And the reason why this frequently comes up is in the different models and the understanding of the model. Because in the orange model, when we have 2 left, the question is, what is our whole? Is our whole 4, or is our whole 3? When we have 2 left over here in the yellow model, is our whole 3, or is it 4? And students grapple with this idea because we have 2 different units happening here. We have servings, and we also had, you know, dog food. All right. I hope that I did this one justice. I would have loved to unpack more about the 2/3 versus 1/2, or 2/3 versus 2/4. But I think at this point, this would have led my students into doing more problems about what is the whole. Some follow-up activities that I frequently do this are in terms of pattern blocks. So I might say, you know, a trapezoid is worth 2. What is a triangle worth, or what is a hexagon worth? And it gets them to rethink their wholes. If you're curious about that activity or others, feel free to stay on, and I'll share some resources for where you can do those. But it does give students a flexibility to start thinking of the whole as different. Lisa, can you tell us what your student said? That's pretty amazing.
She said, you need to define the whole. I can't remember what we were doing. That's the first time I had ever really heard that. And I remember that, and that's been at least 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So as we're looking at all these models and we don't see any words above, okay, 3 means this, 4 means this, it goes back to label, label, label.
Yeah, absolutely. Because these ones are right, that 2 is the 1/2 pound. There's a 1/2 pound left. The last serving has a 1/2 pound, but the response that they're looking for is, you know, how much of the serving is left, and it's 2/3 of the serving. All right, folks, that was our session today. I will stay after for anyone who's just curious to know follow-up activities to this or techie sides of it. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you have questions, pop them down in the virtual parking lot. Otherwise, I hope to see many of you all in January. I'm going to take the next 2 Saturdays off and just have some time with my family. Hopefully go sledding on Christmas Day. I think we're expecting a little bit of snow. And just take some time away from the computer. So I hope that that inspires you all to do the same, and hope to see you back in January. So if any of you have questions, if you want to stay on afterwards and ask anything, feel free. Happy to answer them.
Hi, Teresa. This is Melody.
Hi, Melody.
This was fantastic. I've seen like your choral counting, I want to say like around April, and that's helped me. I work for UCLA's math project, but my main job is with LAUSD as a math coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stumbled across your MATHURDAYS videos yesterday, and I was like, I love the way you do engagement and you teach and you get it all into an hour, because my job is to provide professional development for teachers right now. And we're trying to convince our boss to make it only an hour. and she wants all these things. And so I'm going to take this to her and be like, look how engaging we can make it. It only needs to be an hour, short and sweet, and you learn a lot. My question, I guess, is do you have any suggestions or like a video for people who facilitate PD based on, I love the way you have your like SEL engagement or your, what's it called, like icebreakers, or I know there's a more formal word, and then you get into the math and then you talk about the math. Like, do you have anywhere like that formula or any help, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for seeing that and noticing it. I still consider myself a math coach. Like that is forever my role. And so, yes, if you are looking for the structure, I've had a couple of people ask that. So on my website where it says teresawills.com/MATHURDAYS, I try to stick with this little formula. I'm pretty
Okay.
strict with myself, and I try to stay with it. It is always incredibly difficult because you want to talk about 16 different things. But if we're the ones as the instructors doing all the talking, that means that they're just listening and they're not producing anything. So I really try and keep my own talking less as much as I can, and have students talk more and have more time for them to write on there. So that's my general formula for a 1 hour block. And
Fantastic.
I'll
I love that. And yes, that's what I would like our team to gear more towards, is more our teachers talking and less of us talking. And so I never even thought of like sharing the Google slide. We're always very cautious with sharing our slides, right? Because we don't want them to get messed up.
Yeah.
But you have you get so much more engagement when you share and let them type in their things. And so this has just been, I think our next round of PDs next semester are just going to be 100 times better.
Absolutely. And Melody, I frequently bring up this analogy in terms of the Google Slides because, it is scary to share them with students. There are some things we can do accountability-wise for us to make sure that, like, okay, they don't mess them up. I want to give them maybe one slide at a time. I want to keep a copy of them in case something goes. But all those fears are real. But I think if teachers put it in a different context, they'll realize how capable and confident they can be. So here's the context. When I went to school, our desks were in rows. We were not to talk at all during math class. We were to watch what the teacher did. We did a couple together, and then we worked on our own. And that is just the way we did it. We didn't have any collaboration together. That would be called cheating at the time and more. And so when people first started, like, kind of branching out from that, let's do some small group stuff. Let's do some games. Let's do some of this. There were some serious concerns about what happens if kids are throwing the dice across the room. What happens if the kids steal my manipulatives? Or, goodness sakes, what if I ask a kid's opinion and it's wrong or just so far off? What do I do? And so a lot of those same fears are, based in classroom management and pedagogy. And that's what a lot of, sharing the slides is all in. It's releasing ownership of your class to the students. And while I realize I'm probably preaching to the choir here, what is nice about that is teachers can really feel like, oh yeah, I do that. I do small groups, and I have this routine of what I do in the classroom to make sure that my students aren't going to throw dice or steal them, or that they're going to take responsibility, and I'm capable of that as a teacher. And once they realize that, they start to realize how capable they are within the shared slides.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I noticed that you do a lot of copying the slide. I was trying, like when I was watching yesterday, I was trying to figure out, what are you doing when you keep making copies of the presentations and then they're gone? I was curious as to what is that facilitator move? That's my last question.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I notice that I've got some new folks with us, or maybe people who, or a session where I really want to keep the work that's right there, you can go and revert back, but it's so much easier for me just to go and make a copy of the entire thing and just leave it hanging out in the background. What that does is if somebody now, is in the Google slide and they do something to delete everyone's work or mess it up, I've got my copy and I can just copy and paste it right back over.
Got it.
So it
I've done that with
mostly just
Jamboard.
saves me time.
Perfect. That's like what we do with Jamboards, that we make like a template, and yes, so that makes sense. Thank you
Yeah,
so
when I'm done, I
much.
just delete the copies. But I like having it here. It's kind of my little safety net, and I realize that there's other ways of doing it, but this is the way that I've been doing it for the last like 7 years. Is just making this little copy, and it works for me. And old habits die hard. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah. Let's see. Someone said thinking about using the double number line from Knowledge Hook for the November Mather Day and can't find it. The double number line.
That was me.
Yeah.
I know.
I think he called it a dual number line.
Okay.
Of course, I would have to spell dual right. Let's see, numbershapes.com/dual number line. Here we go.
Oh.
I just put it in the chat box. I'll try to make sure I get that
Oh,
link on the Mather Days real clearly, but is that what you were looking for?
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Did that? Yeah.
If anyone else has any other questions, feel free to ask them now or put them down in the virtual parking lot.
I have a question. I don't understand how to put it in the virtual
Oh
parking
yeah,
lot,
just
though.
go
What do
for
you
it.
do?
Yeah, feel free to just use your microphone and ask.
Oh, okay. So I saw the slide page had the virtual manipulatives, and there was a variety of them, and some were from Math Learning Center, some were from Didax. How did you make that, and like how do you use that? Like, I mean, what are the basics behind? Like, I've never done anything like that. I'm just curious how you did that.
Yeah, so this is the template that I like to use, and I'll give you the templates here. I make these for just about every problem, and I carefully choose about 5 manipulatives that I think will work well for it. So you just got the link in the chat box. And what these are just, any online manipulative, but I try to tailor them towards the problem that we're doing. And so in my general formula is always to use 5. I like 5. It gives enough variety that I get a lot of representations in class. I try to pick one that is like kind of super nerdy, techie, complicated, because I usually have at least one person who is in my class of kids or class of adults who just wants that added challenge. I try to add at least 2 always that are familiar to people that they can just click on and they know exactly what to do with it. And maybe 2 others that just really fit with the problem. But as you can see, depending on what problem I do, I clearly have some favorites. I really love the Cuisinart rods 2 color counters, but they don't always show up if it doesn't make sense in that problem. Did I answer that, or can I give you more details about that?
Good. Thank you. No, that's really good. Thank you. So someone like me who's really completely new to any of this, how do you how would I get started in understanding and learning about like the technology piece of it? I'm more familiar with the math side of it and the different ways to explain the remainder and all that. That's good. But as far as the technology side of it, I'm really like at step 1. So like if I got your book and read that, would that help me with step 1 and help me to progress to this?
Yeah, so there's a couple resources I have for you. I try to make any frequently asked questions that I get available in video format. So if you're wanting to know, like, how do I even make a drag and drop slide? How do I do that part? There's a video for it. I put that link in the chat. And so these are really short videos where I'm just kind of explaining how to do like a Google Translate or how to add hyperlinks or how to share your Google Slides. So those are some you might find some inspiration in to get started there. And in the math realm, I recommend the math routines as a starting point for bringing some of this interactiveness in your classroom. The reason why is because the math routines only take about 7 to 10 minutes each. It gives you a taste for it without the idea of like, gosh, what if I don't do it right and now my whole class is messed up? Like, yeah, it's just the very beginning. And as a math coach, I frequently started with math routines at the beginning of class when I worked with other teachers, just to give them a taste of some of the amazing things that you could do with it.
Wow.
That,
Okay,
and you're
good.
always
Thank
welcome
you.
to come back to Matherdays. You'll notice we have some people who've been to many sessions. We always have a couple of people who are brand new to it, and we welcome everyone. I mean, it's just a chance to network together with some other people.
Good. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure thing. All right, folks, have a wonderful break, and I will see many of you back in January.
Thank you.